When I listen to some of the UK online news networks and some of the commentators talking about Starmer's decision, which understandably he'll have many critics, although ultimately whether he went about it the right way or not, if it results in the conflict coming to an end, more urgently, if it results in food being brought in for the people who are currently starving, and I'm referencing the civilian population and particularly the children, because you've got to be a certain type of person to just disregard all of that in favour of your political argument if you know, for one reason or other, don't feel as though the people suffering, civilian population again and children that we're seeing on our phones, devices and computers and TVs, that they deserve any kind of respite. It's really something to behold. And as the tide gradually turns, I just think, not in a callous way, from a sort of observing how politics move, it's going to be very interesting to see how people are able to remain entrenched in a position they've held probably from the start, whereby they just completely discount the whole population over there who are starving, and the ones who are immediately impacted by the conflict on a moment-to-moment basis. And I heard a comment on one of the UK YouTube news networks, and I don't know if the commentator fully intended to sound this callous, but it made me think this is how and why it's so easy for people in the West, or wherever they may be, for them to disregard seeing children who are definitely in a bad way as a result of food not reaching them, and not being able to access the basic means of survival that we all depend on every day, basic resources, and that being acceptable to them. When I heard the comment was made that Starmer should be concentrating on our problems over here, dealing with the UK, what's it got to do with us? Britain has got a very long history. You could pretty much say they were there at the beginning of this whole Middle East crisis, going back to before the Second World War, when Britain was in charge of that part of the world. So they are connected. They might not have been that connected in more recent decades, but they are connected. They go back to the roots of this problem. I'm not saying it's the UK's problem, but there is a relationship ongoing there. So the comment that I really want to sort of bring to the front, and I'm not going to sort of repeat it word for word, but it went along the lines of this. Why bother? Why is he bothering on a patch of dirt or dust or something all the way over there? Now, what went off in my head is, this is probably exactly how a whole population can be dehumanized, and people can feel nothing when they see people being unalived, suffering, losing their whole families in an instant. Yes, it is war, though that doesn't mean that stuff is just like you can bat it aside. So if you consider where a piece of land that used to be people's homes, where they lived, went to school, ate, raised their children, kids played, people went to work, just normal day-to-day living like we live where we are over here in the West. If you can write all of that off as just a piece of dirt and dusty ground, and it wasn't dirt and dusty ground until the demolition crews moved in. The civilians didn't demolish the space themselves. So I just think it kind of says it all in a very small group of words, that's how so many people can just disregard the whole, you could say, need for the whole sense of humanity in looking at what's going on over there. It's just like there is no humanity involved. It's like you could be talking about mowing, clearing some rubble from, emptying some bin bags or something. That's just the way it sounded to me. To just say, oh, it's just a dusty plot of land. What's it got to do with us? Who cares? It's not the plot of land, in my thinking. It's the people who live there. It's that people have to live on that plot of land and have to make the most of what they got. And it wasn't always just a dusty, broken down demolition site. So, and we have a relationship with the processes of how it got to be that way. Even if it could be in a distant way through, companies that supply machinery or deals that are connected to what's taking place over there. I just think the lack of humanity, it never ceases to astound me, and it would be interesting in the coming days, weeks and months to see how many people, if you take one block of people, and obviously there's a divide somewhere in the middle, and as people kind of, I would say, I don't know if you want to use the term wake up or see reason or bring their humanity to bear in what they're seeing, because out of sight, out of mind. But as you see this stuff, the ability to disregard it takes some real type of personality. So it'd be interesting to see how many people actually start to come around. Like I've seen Piers Morgan, one of the probably larger personalities, independent journalists on YouTube and social media, as his support has moved across to being more based on humanity and just empathy for, you could say, his fellow man, in terms of prioritizing the needs of the most needy, which are the people who are starving, and particularly, I'll say again, the children who shouldn't have to fend for themselves. When you're seeing little kids going out with pots hoping that they're going to get some watered down soup to feed their family, toddlers, it's just like, yeah, you've got to have some kind of compassion, whatever your politics are, whatever side you believe you support for your fellow man. Or then again, you don't necessarily have to have that, because obviously some people don't. I just find it fascinating to see, be it mental gymnastics or otherwise, or just the way some people perceive the world, how people can just bat it aside. Oh, it's just a dusty plot of land, forgetting or disregarding the fact that there's people who have to live on that dusty plot of land, and to them it's not just a dusty plot of land. I'm not 100% for the way Starmer's gone about what he's gone about, but if the end result is that people can access food and medicine and services and start to experience moments of normality in their current difficult struggle, while the conflict on both sides, which ain't going to be resolved overnight, can be addressed, I would say that's the priority. So I may or may not run a clip of the quote that I quoted, the show that I'm kind of referencing with what I thought was a callous quote. I probably will do, so you kind of get context to what prompted me to go on this slightly longer than usual build up to the video. Wouldn't exactly call it a rant. Well, you kind of get the gist of what I was trying to put across. Myself, Only Idea here at CornerSpeak. Be good, be safe, be creative if you can, and we hope things progress in a more positive direction and to the benefit of those who are experiencing the day-to-day struggle, particularly the civilians. For now, I'm out.